So this is at 720 and yet I can still see it's extremely jerky. How's this? Oh, it's all over the place. Come on, YouTube. Okay, that's better. CryJ, I hear whistle breathing. Yes, unfortunately, I do have slightly blocked nose, so I am going to tend to have a whistling nose. Alright. I guess this will have to suffice. Now, see, I have lost a camera. Brilliant. Yep. What the flippity heck? So I'm there. Now I'm there. Honestly, software just drives you insane. Oh well. People wonder why I'm a software developer, really. Surreal live stream. Yes. Stop watching Chattervate. Maybe the system just needs a reboot. Yes. Turn it off and back on. Spacebar. I have a MacBook Pro with a dim green light after replacing most things, so I know the feeling. Scott, I believe that Lewis has a video on the dim green light problem. It is a rather specific fault. PC running okay apart from the encoding. Yes, it's been running perfectly fine. I've been doing all my usual stuff today, and like I said last night, it was running perfectly fine too, which just adds to the mystery, or should I rather say frustration or misery. Take your pick. Scott, as far as I recall, it's some sort of short issue or something like that. I don't know, don't quote me on it, I cannot totally recall. But I do remember it being somewhat more involved than just the normal, say, U6901 one wire circuit issue. So the JV will take to that plastic okay? Yes, it has, in fact, to the point whereby the rest of the plastic on the chassis is suffering due to that. And so, oh man, I don't want to have to cope with this load. But so, yeah, it's fine. But as I mentioned earlier, I have been a little bit quick to jump the gun here, and I don't yet have a replacement PowerFlex. I was foolish. So it's a bit of a rough day, and consequently I've made a few mistakes. So I'll essentially just put this lid on, the disgusting lid that it is, fold her up and put her into the storage box for now. At least that way I'm less inclined to lose more parts. So, well, at least the hinge is closed there. Yes, this is after 2 JB welds. I'm just going to put the screws into those hinge points just to pull them in so that they don't accidentally tear out the plastic when I'm opening things. Nothing worse than doing all this work and because you forget one screw you rip out the hinge plastic again. Let's see if that works. Hey Mo, how are you over there? What country are you in, Mo? Scott Pinder, change the U7000, bypass one wire circuit. Yeah, hopefully you'll take that out. Change DC inboard. I'm just gonna have my way. Like I said, check Lewis's archive of files, because I'm very sure there is a dim green light one wire circuit fault explanation in there. Dun, dun, dun. Perhaps every PC laptop should come with complimentary JB World patch key. Those creaking noises you can hear are just the top deck realigning itself. Hey, it looks like at least those hinges are good now. So that's one problem out of the way. I would say now my next issue is what on earth am I going to do now? I sort of have waylaid half an hour for this job. Well, could do this iPhone 5, I guess. In which case I may change the camera format a bit. As far as I recall, I am not supposed to be using this particular... This is a test one only. I have got a burnt pin on the LCD connector. Might be able to just clean that up. So, hey Martin Law, good to see you. I'm from Iraq, living in Stockholm. Oh, okay, that's got to be a bit of a lifestyle change. So, Michael has just fixed a HP G7 hinge and it seemed weak, so I drilled a hole all the way through and used a small nut and bolt, nice and tight. Not going to worry about JV World coming apart from the plastic. Hello Amy. Yes, Michael, I've often considered doing something like that, particularly if it was my own. I just need to get some parts for this iPhone repair. Won't be 2 seconds. Oh, I turned off the additional audios I had coming into this system, so it'll be interesting to see whether this mute switch gives you a full mute now. Silence, yep, it works. Really? I find that quite interesting because the open broadcaster indicates that it's still receiving the information in spite of that. Oh well. Now one thing that's got me confused here, and this is my own fault, I seem to recall this came in with a black screen on it, not a white one. As far as I recall, this one is just my testing screen, and as such I'm wondering where on earth my black one went that it came in with. since I need to migrate all the bits and pieces across. And that's going to be rather annoying. Should I have misplaced that? And given that I have just been running through an extensive purge of phone screens and such from this house, I'm a little worried that I may have thrown it out. It's rather different having the stream on 55-inch TV in the lounge while I'm sitting in the couch doing admin stuff. I can imagine it would be, Ray. I should try that on my own screen in the lounge. The screen... Almost 1 o'clock in the morning here. Oh, nice flashy. And I have no idea what their passcode is. Marvellous. Alright, cancel. Fantastic. If you're thinking I'm sounding a little bit, I suppose the word could be despondent, then you would be rather correct. Just had an absolute run of dodgy jobs and a run of dodgy customers. It's just sort of like starting to get to me a little bit. Like, I love it when you get I need the job done ASAP, and so you get the job done ASAP and you spend the money to get the parts and everything, and then they tell you I'll be in 2 weeks' time, which leaves you then in a financial pothole. And for some reason customers do seem to think that you have an unlimited supply of money, and to be fair, it's not their fault. I mean, any business should be perceived like that, otherwise they probably wouldn't put anything with you. But after a while it seems to all happen as a cluster, and anyone else who's been in the business will know, any business will know, that things seem to happen in these clusters. So as a consequence now, I've invested a lot of money this week on replacement parts, and it's going to be probably a week or two before that investment gives me a return, which is a bit frustrating. So, is Lewis on vacation? I do believe he is, and maybe if he's not, then oh well, just taking a break, no harm in that, I guess. So, alright, that phone isn't the one I thought it was going to be, so now I'm starting to really wonder what's going on. Astas, I managed to blow up my phone battery while replacing it. It was fun. How'd you manage to do that? You were trying to lever it out or something, and it just the lever slipped into it a bit too much and punctured it. Yep, it's paid $50. They must pay up front. Done that too many times. Yeah, I agree, Mike and Scott. Normally I do have that sort of policy. I find it's a bit of a balancing game here at the moment, where because there are other places in town, I'm trying to capture the jobs where I can, and I'm sort of like, hedging my bets that it'll come through. But oh, sorry about that. Occasionally that bet hedging doesn't work out, and you get left holding a bit of a bill. Just stretch this out. No, we don't want that. I'll do for now. So, yes, sadly you can't pick and choose jobs. Yeah, that's exactly it, CryJ. Doesn't work like that here. If they do the work, they will get paid, or they'll not release your stuff. That's the other thing I've run into a couple of times. I'm sorry, this is turning into a bit of a talkie. I have spent way too many hours chasing down customers who have decided they wanted the work done, and the work gets done, and then something happens, or they just change their mind or whatever, and they don't turn up to pick up the job ever. And I'm just going to move this across to the side. You don't need to see quite so much. There we go, that was a bit slow. So, and unfortunately here in Australia, you cannot dispose of their goods in 45 days or anything. If you want to dispose of customer equipment that they haven't collected to try and get some money back, in which most cases you can't anyway, you have to wait 6 months. You then have to notify them in writing, and half the time these people have changed their address and all sorts of things. And then after you've done that, you have to advertise, I believe, in 3 different newspapers that you are going to hold an auction for the equipment that you are trying to get your money back on. And then once you have earned money from that auction, you have to give back the person a certain amount of that money that's relative to what their equipment was worth for their part of it. And then oh sorry, I got that backwards, I apologise. You're only allowed to keep enough to cover your known written costs, like the cost of the new stuff and maybe an hour's labour. Everything else on top of that you gain in the auction, you have to give back to the customer somehow. So it's a very frustrating law, and as a consequence you try very hard to make sure that customers do not leave their stuff with you. What is the penalty if you do not do this? Essentially, if you sell their equipment, you will of course be dragged off to some sort of legal court issue, most likely misappropriating of someone else's equipment. It is very tricky. Like I said, you try to go above and beyond. I have at times driven 50 kilometers out of town just to deliver something to someone so that it is out of my workshop. Because the other problem can be, we have cyclones here, other natural weather phenomena, and if their equipment gets damaged while it's in your storage, and again, any of you who are doing this as a business as well will know that stuff does just break when it's sitting in the workshop room, waiting for them to pick it up. I remember I had a 3GS phone, and the person, it was a body replacement and a screen replacement, that's right. It took me 6 months to chase them down, and then after 6 months they picked it up, and it wasn't working anymore. And I'd imagine that was just simply the case the battery had given up on it. So I fixed up the battery, and this is the beautiful part. They put it in their back pocket. They go to their car. They sit in the car. They get home, and they ring me up furious, and they say the screen is broken. And it's because they put it in their back pocket and broke it. And you basically don't have any legal recourse on that. And the only thing you can tell them to go get stuffed, and sometimes that works. Sometimes you just throw money at them to get them the hell out of here, which is not a good thing to do. It sets up the wrong sort of precedent, and people start to expect that. There was a customer I had who handed me a little, I think it was a 12-inch or 13-inch Asus laptop. It was a very nice laptop. It had a busted screen on it. And I said to him, I said, I can't get these screens. And he says, no, it's okay, cool, just get some, see what you can find, all that. This went on for about 12 months. And I tried 3 different screens, locally supplied, and 2 from overseas, which all had their matching numbers. And that all failed. And in the end, the person, they had their cracked screen, and I'd already spent a bunch of money. They paid me up front for this, but and so they said, well, now I've got to go take it to the warranty place. And I said, well, why don't you do that in the first place? That's right, I did mention it to him. So that was a big mess, and I've still got those screens now in my stock at least, but I doubt I'll ever encounter another one of those laptops. And I end up getting that person to sign a waiver to say they will not make any further claims and they will not come back here for any other further work. This particular customer is just something that I do not want to ever see again. If I see them downtown, I go to the other side of the road. I don't want to deal with them. It was just I swear, this person would knife me. Yeah, some people you just look at and you go, oh man, you're going to knife me if you get unhappy with me. So, and it's a small town, so yeah, you really don't want to bump into these people too much. So, let's have a look at this. Yeah, Mike, they badmouth your company, and if I was in the city that's about 130 k's away, a place called Townsville, they have about 250,000 people. You can afford to deal with customers in that way. You can sort of be a little harder and say, yeah, go get stuffed. There's nothing legally you can do, and your bad mouthing hopefully will actually spread the word amongst your peers, so I don't have to deal with them. But in this town, it's a really toxic thing. It's not to say you have to just bend over and take it, but you really do have. It's thin ice that you're skating on. Drop bears, yeah, I should give them a box of drop bears. Too bad there's no proprietor protection such as attachment. Yeah, I make my own policy to have pickup in 3 months. They still come back after 6 months. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to, even if you get them to write a contract, sign a contract, normal terms and conditions. Unfortunately, you can't get them to sign anything that waivers their rights given by state law. Oh, thank you, Amy. Yes. So on top of that, you have to pay for a dumbass's mistake. Move out of the country. I think I'll stay in Australia. Bloody horrible. I've had people like that too, but I've only had 2 that never picked up in 10 years repairs. For a moment then I thought you were saying that it took 10 years before they came and picked up. That'd be pretty amusing. I have 3 cameras on a customer desk. One is voice recording. That's a good idea. With signs, when you walk in stage and smile, you're on camera. Yep, good idea. Do you think offering a small discount for prepaying the repair might work? It can work, man. I have tried that policy. It gets a little weird at times. It's one of the part of it is my own business's fault. Because this has been done out of my own house, the front patio where people come along isn't really what I would consider a proper professional business front. It's just a normal household door with a doorbell and a sign saying 11 a.m. to 6 a.m. hours, do not press the doorbell if you are outside of these hours. So because of that lax appearance, then the people arriving here shift into a different perception on how they're going to conduct their business. Pardon me. It becomes a far more casual affair. And because of that level of casualness, it's hard to push the more business line, obviously. And this is one of the more frustrating things with the business at the moment. There's 2 aspects I want to get. One is I need that microscope, and hopefully those RMAs will get me there. The other is I want to remodel that front patio so that it's all enclosed and I have a proper desk there, so the customer stays on one side and I stay on the other side, and it develops that formality which keeps people in the mind space that I need them for me to be able to say that's $50 down payment or whatever. It works better that way. I mean, you can push it, but again, like I said, it's a case of how thin is the ice. What I have had to do in times is offer a sort of a discount in a way for people to come and get their stuff now or whatever. So Mike says we have 15,000. 95% of my business comes within 10 miles away now. Says there's basically 5,000 in the immediate vicinity and 8,000 within 100 kilometers of here. I have a Mac, blah blah blah. I have a water damaged MacBook Air just clean it and now it works. Oh, that's brilliant. Always good when you get one of those. I'm glad to hear you got that one. I have about 50, 60 PS. Oh my god, yeah. Cry J2000. Place where business is conducted is a poor excuse for them to forgo common courtesy, ethics, etc. I do agree, but then it's always the case of what is expected and what happens, sadly, often does not match up. And I know that if I put the more professional looking front, it will help things in that regard. I mean, yeah, is it too much to ask to have a bit of business ethic from their side as well? No, but does it happen? Yeah, no. And being a country town, things can be a little bit sloppy in that respect. Uh, but yes, hopefully these RMAs will give me the block of money that I need to get that microscope underway, and then I'll need to remodel my bench yet again. But that's okay. I'll just put a different shelf up here. I see Jason Vilmer of STS Telecom did a rather interesting thing where he put the vertical shaft of the microscope up through the shelf. That was quite novel in the way he did that. I quite like that. It keeps it all compact, but still gives you the shelf. So I love repairing stuff, but hate most of the customers because I'm always expecting that odd one that wants to kick off. Yep, yeah. The ones I hate are the ones I don't know, and the very first when they message me or something, they call me mate. Now in Australia, it's well known. Everyone goes, "Mate, how you going, mate?" No, but if you don't know the person and the first thing you say is, "Oh, mate," then straight away you know they're trying to slip you, pull a fast one on you and get a discount or something like that. And it's a real pain. You just sort of straight away you buckle down and you start doubling up your prices because you know these people are going to try real hard to screw you over. So. Martin Law, yeah, I saw how he did that. It's pretty neat. Yeah, I was. It was a really nice remodeling he did. So reflow, come up with green crap. Okay, I'm gonna go. You'll have to excuse me for maybe a minute or two. You can all go get your drinks or whatever, and I'm gonna go order my smoothie from the kitchen. In other words, my lovely wife. I'm gonna go try and find this iPhone that I need to get fixed up. I really thought it was this one. I thought the name was a little strange in it, and that's why when I powered it up, it was not the one I thought it would be. Normally, when I get a phone and I pull it apart and whatnot, I try to keep everything contained. And likewise, the laptops, I try to keep everything contained in a much bigger container. I had a very close call a few months ago. Another one of these long-running sagas. A person brought a phone in that was water damaged. There was some sort of alcohol spilled on it, whatever. It was smashed, and at the time they dropped it off, they said they wanted the data recovery done on it. So I said that's fine, yeah. And I repaired the board enough to get the data off it. And they said, look, we don't have enough money to. It was like $99. Was it? There were a customer that was a good customer. That status has changed. So 99, I thought that's fine. Yeah, you guys have put quite a lot of stuff through me. So this kept going on for months and months. After I did the data recovery, I said, look, the board is basically you can't trust it. I do recall the mobile section of it was dead. I'm not sure what part of it was, but it wasn't going to work as a normal phone anymore. So I said to him, look, I'll put everything on the USB stick for you, and if it's okay by you, I'll just keep the existing parts as spares. And they were fine with it at that time. But over the course of time, their memory changed. And fortunately, I had this all on Facebook chat. their memory changed, and then one day after I'd been trying to just every month ask them how they're going with the payment, they said, "Do you have the SIM card?" And I said, "Oh." I said, "No." I went back through my logs. This is at 5, 6 months now. I said, "No, actually, I gave you the SIM card months ago." And they're like, "Oh." And then I said, "Are you able to come and pay for the data recovery?" And they're like, "No, actually, we want our phone back, and we don't believe we should pay $99 for just copying the data off the phone." They said we could have just plugged that into iTunes and done it ourselves. Why are you trying to rip us off? And this is a real, like, what the hell? All I can imagine, this person is under extreme financial pressure, and yeah. So I cut and paste back the Facebook conversation. They wouldn't have any of it. They just said, "No, we want our phone back, and we're not going to pay you anything for it. We think you're ripping us off." So I said, "Fine. So, yeah, I know what this is going to be like. I'm just not going to care." And at that point, I realized I had disassembled their phone, and all the parts were just sprayed all over the workshop, because as far as I was under the impression that I was free to use this now. And fortunately, there were some very unique identifiers on this, and I had labeled this the phone logic board with their name in pen, so that I had a reference. And I think I panicked for about 2, 3 days, digging through all of my scrap boxes. I have a bad habit of just hoarding my broken iPhone screens, till eventually I ended up finding everything, amazingly. Put it back together, and it works, except for the mobile. And so when they get it back, the first thing they're going to think when they power it up and plug it into iTunes, they're like, "See, he was ripping us off. It works." But of course, they'd forgotten that I'd fixed it to make it work. So that's why I'm really pedantic now, trying to make sure I keep everything in these containers, and because I don't want to have to go through that sort of fear of thinking, "Oh God, not only do they think I'm ripping them off, now they're not going to get their full phone back, and they're going to think I am really cheating them." So it was a bloody disaster. They never got their data, but at least not from me. But if they did plug it into iTunes, they would have got it back. So yeah, that was another exercise in frustration. There you go. Uh, Sorry, I missed the chat here. It's in a different window. I should put it in the one that I'm looking at. They're yep. Call you Bud from now on. Then harsh, harsh. Ham and cheese bagel before. Oh yeah, that sounds good actually. We have the same thing. Yeah, the friend or trust me. Oh yeah, yeah. They're red flags. That's it. Not bad. Yeah, I tag everything I have from. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's only going to happen once, and you kick yourself for even letting it happen the first time, and then hopefully you don't do it ever again. I hate the lies customers tell, lack of any truth. It sends you on the wrong track. Repair take hours. Find out. Yeah, yeah, yep. Should have unfixed it. CryJ. I've spoken to other people. I'm not going to mention any names about that sort of thing. And I was sort of thinking, is it unethical if they have bought you in a phone that does not work and they pull this crap on you, to go along and say, pardon me, remove something moderately obvious from VCC main or whatever to stop it working, because effectively it came in broken. So and it's borderline ethics for me. It's slightly vindictive to me, but at the same time, I think does it balance the tables? Who knows? Are we trying to run our lives as purists? I don't know, Buddhism or whatever. But so yeah, it's something I do ponder a lot, particularly when it's a fix where you can't really unfix with some things. Like you reball a BGA or something like that. I suppose you can pull that off and put the old one back on. At the same time, you don't really want to be putting more hours of work in. So is it ethical to just pop the fuse off a VCC line or something? Yeah. Alright, okay, I am gonna go sort out my stuff. I'll leave you with the chair temporarily. So you can all take a break for about 5 minutes and I'll be back. Alrighty, I don't know what's going on with the phone. I'm gonna have to double check with the person whom I know this belongs, or at least I believe this belongs to, and see what's going on. At least I've got all the names and everything in there, so yeah. I just want to double check it is who I think it is. And yeah, I've got my smoothie. It's not quite as thick as usual tonight because I've run out of raspberries and I've only got blueberries. Mm. People do not realize how much research one has to do sometimes to find a solution or to an issue. They think you just get out the pixie dust and sprinkle it on the problem area. Quite right. Absolutely. Answers are free, correct answers $50 each. I like that. I am blind, damn fine. Whoops. Intelligent answers $100. Oh, knocking it up a notch. Alright, well, what we have here is I've got a install a solid state on this particular machine. This is one we worked on the other night, and when I checked with the customer, they said, nah, don't care about the data, just give me a working machine again. This is the HP that took a little too long to get the back off. So unfortunately it's not as exciting as some other jobs we might be able to do, but it is one that needs to be done. They will not be collecting immediately, but now is a good time at least to get things underway. When it's quiet, it's just going to require a Windows 8 install. Oh, people fix welders. Okay. Well, I suppose there's many different kinds of welders, of course. Oh, brilliant. This case is... there we go. So who remembers this one? I will mention that this is one of the jobs that was supposed to be collected promptly, but unfortunately certain matters came up, and as a consequence it will not be prompt. And of course I've already spent the money to buy a bunch of solid state drives. Oh, come on. I'm a little disappointed. Solid state drives here have rocketed up in prices. About 9 months ago, maybe 12. You could get Kingston 120 gig units for about 55 Australian dollars, which is a pretty good price. And I bought a bunch of them. And then obviously I ran out, and then I went to go get more, and lo and behold, they're now ludicrously priced, about $77. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember where everything goes here. This is the other problem I have with when your jobs get delayed, is you start forgetting certain aspects of things, like where various things go. Oh, look at that, I've got an iPhone. No, that's right. So this is very rudimentary work. Nom nom's lunchtime. Oh. What are you going to have for lunch, Amy? Oh, by the way, thank you very much, everybody. With all of you watching and whatnot, I have managed to get over over 100,000 minutes of watch time in the month, which was my how could you say, my goal, as it were. So I've achieved that. So now I've got to find a new goal. New goal might be make $1 million. Watch your video taking it apart. Yeah, that would be the ideal way. That is one good reason to record everything. I have got plans to put various security cameras inside the workshop here for two reasons. One being what you just said, you can look back over your stuff. And the other being, sometimes when you're doing jobs and you've got a machine that's been intermittent, but you're not sure why or what's happening, all you know is that you come back into the room and it's stopped working, and you start having doubts, and you go, did I leave that off, or did that shut off, or what? So by having it recorded, I would then be able to see what caused that caused it to drop, or at least give you some idea. Nope, that does not fit in there. Glazed ham slice sandwich. Yeah, ham, delicious ham that I don't eat really anymore. Oh, for goodness sake, what's going on here? And why is that loose? Oh, the bad news is on that Samsung Ultrabook from the other night, it started failing again, so we're going to have to go and replace the whole top deck. I'm a little concerned about this FPC connector here. As most of you have seen, there's always a line across here that indicates where it should theoretically go into after you lock the tab down. It's sitting proud of that by about 1mm, but I can't seem to get it in any further. So I'm going to put that to a bit of faith. I had a friend that has an SSD in system, Windows with blue screen randomly. Oh, okay. I moved the SSD and the connector fell off. Oh, you mean it actually came off the solid state drive itself? Huh. That's not good. What brand was it? So I take it most of you will have most of you work in IT tech or something like that? You'll run your own business? That is going to have to come on later. ITM2, fortunately I have found them, and they're surprisingly cheap. I think it's going to cost me around about 60 Australian dollars, and that's delivered. Personally, I consider that freakishly lucky. Because you're right, under normal circumstances, that would be a near impossible thing to find. Philip Calais, buy and sell MacBooks on eBay. Oh, okay. How does that go? I would expect there'd be a lot of people trying to scam the living daylights out of you. I'd imagine it'd be very hard to sort of get the level of confidence you need with your customers or your buyers. Me, Marie, I'm a jack of all trades kind of girl. Yes, I know they often say jack of all trades, master of none. Personally, I don't consider that. I mean, I know they're trying to be a little bit insulting there, but given a choice, I would rather be a jack of all trades. I think being a master of any single trade can lead you into corners that you can't get out of in terms of your financial independence or your ability to be employed. I mean, it's nice to be the best at something, but I'm not one for restricting my future options because of that. Your favourite is power supply building. Now there, I knew that one was coming up. I haven't fixed that other power supply yet. Just haven't really bothered to open it up and have a look. I've got 3 left, and there always get a bit nervous when I've got a screw that, when you first put it in, there's a very long distance to go. Okay, that's good. Good. I made about 4,000 in 3 months. You just have to pick the right machines. Sometimes you get lucky, and people who don't know anything about what they're worth, and yep, and the 200 character limit came in there and stuffed up your statement. Count myself as a jack of a lot of trades and master of at least one. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good option. What would you consider your master trade? Locked. A talented generalist. Oh, jeez. There goes one of the many local riffraff. Well, this is interesting. We do not have any indication here as to what OS this came with. There's no sticker on it. Marvelous. It's a HP 250 G5, 2016. So I would tend to think it might be Windows 10. I think we'll put Windows 10 on it. Don't say you found the keyboard until you get the right one in your hand. Okay, yeah, I will agree with you on that. At this point it looks like it isn't a good match. They have at least provided like 5 or 6 different views of it, and everything's matches at this point, and it's the right language. I have been caught out by that once before. I thought, oh good, found the perfect keyboard, and it turns out it's like Italian or something like that, and you're like, whoops. Mostly when I... See, I should be able to put Win10 on this anyway. And... yeah. I find usually, now that I think about it, if it's a Windows 8 machine, it tends to have the Windows 8 sticker on it, whereas the Windows 10 don't. But of course that could just be anecdotal experiences. Okay. It's a shame that you cannot just boot these things and have them download Windows 10 by themselves, like you can with a MacBook or just a Mac. I do love that aspect of Macs. Alright. Alright, in here somewhere I've got a Windows 10. No, you're 8. Here we go, Windows 10. I should probably update that at some point. Did I miss something? No, I got charged there. Did I forget to plug in something? Did I disconnect something? No, we do not have a power up going on here. It is indicating that it's charging, but it is not powering up. Great, now I have to pull the bloody thing apart again. Anyone notice if I failed to connect a cable? I'd be a little bit surprised, but yeah, guess it happens. Original Windows 10, 15, 11 no longer getting updates pushed out to them. Oh, okay. Hope this isn't a... If that is the case, Graham, is there an easy hotfix or something I can put in if this is a 15.11 version? Power button on the motherboard. Well, you see, the thing is, we didn't actually take the motherboard out on this one. The only thing we did was take that solid state drive out. The power ribbon. I don't know. I'm sort of a little paranoid at the moment after I got a bit burned with that combo LCD touchscreen, because when I put the replacement in, it also didn't power up, and there was something wrong with the screen, causing it to shut down the whole thing, which was rather unusual. Oh boy, here we go again. These ones too. I mean, I know this laptop has been damaged, of course, through the drop, but I was fairly sure it was still working. I don't know why, but I've got to crack this one from the top, even though you end up taking the shell off from the bottom. Yeah, it's frustrating when that happens, Greg. Really frustrating. Here we go again. Well, at least that was quicker than the first time. Alright, let's see. Power button's integrated over here. We haven't touched any of that stuff. None of that stuff at all. Keyboard's good. What's going on here? Doesn't make a lot of sense. If you use MS Media Creator, it pulls down the Creator Update. These days, it seems that Microsoft has really cut back on the rollout of Creator. They got burned with the AU push breaking stuff. Which AU push was that? Yeah, RAM seems fine. Oh, that's right. This thing doesn't even have a fan. I remember that now. Now I've got power showing up here. Just noticed here on there's a little LED here. That's up and running. And we've got backlight flashover. Oh geez, don't be one of these sort of. That's running. Hilarious. Alright, well we'll install it while it's disassembled like this. There's no fans. It's not exactly the most ideal situation here. That light's good. Well, it's definitely coming up now, which of course makes me worried, as I imagine a few of you are. You'll be wondering why. Why didn't it come up before? What was different? I haven't attached anything. The only thing I wonder if the battery's dead. But even still, if that's shorted out, and it was showing it was charging. Yeah. Oh. Anniversary update. Oh, okay. I don't follow a lot of the Microsoft updates and tech releases or anything like that. I probably should follow them closer, but I spend far too much time doing other things. Time and currency format, we would like Australian, please. Oh. Australia. Next. Install now. Where'd my Ethernet go? There we go. One time, customer asked me to write a damage report on a P3 notebook for insurance. Holy crap! How long ago was that? Battery too low. Motorman, yes, I am left-handed. Or some would say ambidextrous. There's a fair number of things I do right-handed. I'll play cricket right-handed, but I'll bowl left-handed. I'll play golf right-handed. So it's a bit of a mix. And P3, oh my goodness, it's like, what was that, like late 90s? Setup is starting and it's still starting. What are you doing? It doesn't normally take this long, does it? So they asked you for the insurance write-off of a P3 last year. That's crazy. I mean, the P3 was a nice chip, but this was quite a while ago. Okay, why is this? I would have expected to start showing. Ah, here we go. Maybe I'm just getting impatient here. What do we got? So this is a July 2015 version. Still, that's good. Do any of you have a favorite machine that at the time in which it was relevant seemed to run the best, and it's always left a good impression with you? For me, pardon me, I had a. Unfortunately, my memory is failing me on this now. But it was a 166 megahertz. I think it was a BX motherboard, and this would have been 1998 or something like that. And that thing, it just felt like it ran like grease lightning. It was just brilliant. There's no hiccups, there was no stalling or anything. I was running Linux Slackware at the time, and I used that machine as a web hosting server inside our network, amongst other things. And I was so happy with it because it coped with slash dotting back at that time. I don't know if many of you know what a slash dotting is. It's a term that was given for when, if your website or whatever happened to be mentioned on the IT or the tech news site slash.org, then you would have like 100,000 people or whatever just suddenly go into your website and pretty much bring it to its knees, and henceforth the term slash dotted. So I had this machine, and it was in the middle of Africa, actually South Africa, and it coped with the slash dotting at that time, so I was quite happy with that. But I've never had a machine since. Actually, no, it's not true. I've had one since, where it just had that feel that everything was running beautifully in sync, and I was getting my money's worth out of the machine. Funnily enough, the slash dotting was not even for one of my own articles or anything like that. I have had articles in Linux Journal, but not slash dotted. It was for a t-shirt competition that was being done, which added to the severity of the slash dotting because there was quite a bit more data being transferred with all the pictures. So that was a long time ago now. Mine was my first Packard Bell. I was finally able to run Doom perfectly. Ooh, was that 92, 93? The next one that I had, which ran very well, it was another web server, and it was an Intel Atom Mini ITX board. I think it was the DM550 or DM500, something like that. And I had a pair of 2.5-inch Samsung, I think they were 160 gig, maybe 250 gig drives. And I don't know what I did right on this machine, but it booted in 3 or 4 seconds, to the point where when I shipped it down to the Colo hosting service and they booted it up, they said to me, "You've got solid state drives in this." And I was like, "No, it's just happens to be really quick for some reason." And I don't know what it was, but there's so few machines that I find that you put together which run as quick as you should expect a modern day piece of hardware to run. Hello, Joshua Fitzpatrick, sorry. 93, yeah. I was at university at that time, and I remember first seeing Doom in one of the electronics engineering practical classes we were doing. I was like, "What is that?" And yeah, it was a while ago now. Actually, I lied. That was not Doom I was looking at that time. It was Wolfenstein. So I apologise. Adam D525. Yes, I believe that was it, Ray. Thank you. It had the really big, broad heatsink on it. It was a good motherboard. I haven't been able to find any more since new anyway. Not that I would get another one because they're out of date now. I mean, even the J1800 and J1900 boards that I use are way out of date. LinuxJournal.com article 2555. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to. Let's have a look at that. Whoops, wrong mouse pull. Let's go have a look at that screen. you can sit up there. Lux.com article 2. Oh my goodness, yep, that's the one. What I didn't like about this particular story, they put a really anti-Windows slant on it, and it was not what I had written to them. Now, obviously, they have the part of the contract that you sign with them is that they can edit what you've written to suit their needs to a degree. So I wasn't happy about it though, because it got me in a fair bit of strife with my boss at that time. So, yeah, but that's it. A long time ago now. What was this? 1998, June 1. Oh wow, how's that? That's 19 years ago. Good God. It was a long time ago. Okay, switch back. There we go. I think the USB stick on this is the factor slowing it down, because it's only at 30% right now. Vasco. See, that MSI 486 machine I fixed with the oh yeah, never crashed, very compatible. A couple of super micro ones. Ray, when you say super micro, you mean like the motherboard's even smaller than the mini ITX? By the way, is it just me, or is it weird that we've got mini ITX is smaller than micro ATX, or whatever it is? It's caught me out a few times in the early days where I'd end up buying a micro ATX case, and then thinking it would be nice and compact for my mini RTX board, and it's like, nope, nope, nope. But that was a long time ago now. I wanted to buy an Intel 486 that time. They gave me an AMD. Which AMD did they give you? But some of the AMDs that came out, like the DX4 type series or whatever, where they were starting to really throw in the overclocking, were quite neat. My first machine was a 8088. Can't quite remember the name of it, but I was just a wee bit of time ago. Crikey, we've been going for an hour and a half almost. That's getting a little excessive, and it's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. Supermicro is the manufacturer. Best server motherboard you can get. Okay. Let's see, don't know, but find out price was different. And at that point, anyone remember the 386? It wasn't the SX boards, I don't think, but it was pretty much the first 386 based board. This would have been 92, 93. It was a compact unit and had everything on board. But of course the downside was that a 386. It was kind of like what you consider an Atom these days. And I remember making up a few machines like that. But by goodness, they're a little bit sluggish though. This Windows is really slow. I wonder if my USB stick's starting to die. It's one of the crappy SanDisk ones, not the USB 3. The only other thing I can think of is maybe it's transferring over the internet, but I doubt it. K6 AMD sucked. I think I had a K6 as well. when I first got back here in 2000, I picked up an IBM back when IBM was still making stuff. Uh, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a K62 or something like that. Oh dear lord, this is just taking forever. This is making for a very boring stream. Ah, I was supposed to put that broken hinge thing back together. Oh well. Speaking of which, that's the parts for it, so I better not lose those. Yeah. What have we got here? Random stuff off my trolley. 16 gigabyte 3GS. Wow, that would have cost a fortune in the day. Surprised its battery hasn't killed it. Cyrix 66 megahertz CPU. Yeah, Cyrix sort of had a bit of relevance back then for a little while, and then they just vanished, didn't they? That's another. What is this? Another 16 gigabyte 3GS. Yeah, they've all had data recovery taken on them. But it's checking for updates, or it does it partway through the install, but asks if you want to check. Yeah, that's what I was expecting, but yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I have a feeling it might be the USB stick, because remember I was commenting that it was taking a very long time to even get up to this particular stage. Thermal throttles, oh, runs better with the TO220 heatsink on it. I haven't done that to any of mine. So yeah, I'm not even doing any electronic stuff. What's this one? Oh, this is something that came in today. It's not really something I want to do any work on, but it's a S5, which most of you probably already knew, and all it's doing is it will boot up to the Samsung logo, and then it just sits there and it just throbs, as it were. And then on the back, around this section here, it gets quite hot. So I have no love for the S5. In fact, to the point where I've never taken a screen out, because I've seen other people do it, and I've seen other people cry when they try to do it and it cracks. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can find someone else in Australia here that will be ballsy enough to try and get into one of these. Apparently what was happening, they didn't have enough space on here to do the update, and it said remove files or whatever to make more space. So they took the files out, and then when they made it do the update, that's when it never came back. Is the hard drive light doing anything on the laptop? That's a good question. Yeah, it's flickering. It is flickering. We're up to 73% now. It's just really slow. Much slower than what I would anticipate. I can feel this battery's got a little bit of puff in it too. Not a lot, but I wouldn't give it more than 3 months of useful life. Is it worth repairing Samsungs these days? No, definitely not. Even if you can get the screen swapped without breaking it, it'll probably break on its own a week or two later. They're just so bad for that. Okay, done with needy customer. I have one of those old 3Gs to get the pictures of. Yeah, the biggest problem with the 3GS now is more often than not the battery. So that's why this one here ended up with its battery wired in with a little JST cable, and I just plugged it into a power supply. So it doesn't have the gas gauge on it or anything like that, but it stays up long enough for you to get that off. I tend to ignore new technology. I wait a couple of years for them to sort out all the problems, and there's always problems. Yes, there is. And I also like to let other people walk across the minefield of repairing these new things. I'm not game on it. software problems cause the S5 to overheat too. Well, it'd be nice if I could fix it, but unfortunately it's not even getting me to the point where it won't boot. So I have those programmer box for Samsung sometimes. You're saying is it a hardware device you can plug in that will reflash it, or actually that's one thing I should try. See if it will boot up to the Android. There we go. Warning: custom OS can cause blah blah blah. Okay, I've obviously pressed the wrong one. Cancel. Here we go. So it seems to be functioning, but it just won't boot. View recovery logs. Some are saying the S8 might be the most breakable phone ever manufactured. Geez, how much worse can they get what they already have now? Well, I've got nothing here. I could try and just factory reformat it. What if I can mount the system? See what happens. I gotta admit, I do occasionally forget that you can do this on the Samsungs. Okay, mounted system. Am I able to? I'm not very up with Android in terms of this sort of thing. I've mounted system on that. If I plug that into the PC, will I have that come up as a mountable device on Linux? I guess there's one way to find out. Why not? We're waiting for this system to do its thing. Where did that cable go? Oh, there it is. Right. Overheat is because CPU is still running a loop. Still need to connect to PC. Okay. Wonder what the chances of there being any usable data on this. Looks like I'm going to have to fiddle around with this machine again. Morning, Mars. Another quiet day for you, heading into the office. Now I'm just going to pop us up into, there we go. I'm going to swap this around because and we've got nothing appearing on the input. Dun, dun, dun. I'm waiting for someone to scream out and say, "What are you doing, man? Don't touch that. You don't know what you're doing." Yeah. ESR will be a factor greater than Moore's law. That's not much of a problem. Yep, just got here. Got to attempt to figure out why this iPhone only works on aftermarket screens. Okay, that's weird. That is really weird. I know there's been cases where uh, certain aftermarket screens would not work if the iOS version wasn't beyond a certain point. I remember running into that problem with the iPod Touch 4s. I ended up a box of screens that I couldn't use for a couple of months because nobody had updated their iPods and they couldn't update them without a new screen. Okay, oh, looks like Windows finally popped over. There we go. And I'm not sure why this Samsung isn't even giving any indication at all that there's any connection to the system. But like I said, I don't really know Androids very well. I use them, and I don't know them. Oh, hilarious. Now it's coming up. But it's... Telstra phone, Samsung. Oh, and it's only the Sharp models that will work with it. What model iPhone is it? CryJ, I finished all those laptops yesterday and today they bought me 30 more. I guess someone else is slacking. Oh, very nice. At least you've got some guaranteed work for a few years. And this Samsung is just sitting and spinning. iPhone 6, something chestnut related. Still, like I said, very unusual that it won't boot with an original one. No, it won't show off, rather. Yeah, I'd love to 6 skills, but I have a feeling it's not going to. And yep, she's getting warm there. So I guess at this point, I'm just going to try and go for a factory reformat. The person's already given up on this, and personally I don't blame, and that's the other thing, you cannot shut this down without pulling the battery. Okay. Wipe data, factory reset. Let's go. Put it in download mode and flash the original ROM. Yeah, if this doesn't work, I'll go for it. Okay, it's formatting now. Yes, Miles, it's stuck on the Samsung logo. The logo is animated. It is pulsing or whatever you want to refer to it as, but that's it. That's where it's stuck. Might be faulty power button. The power button seems to work fine when I'm using it in the recovery boot. Try use Odin software. I've heard of that. I think I've actually downloaded it once about 3 or 4 years ago. Here we go. Networking time. We'll go for that. Now let's see if we can sell out our soul. Customize settings. No thanks, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. I like how they hide the location thing just slightly down on the scroll bar. No, 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 no. No, no, no. It says data work complete. So reboot system now. Let's see what happens. Yeah, getting critical updates. So let's see if it keeps going. Throbber, that's what they call them, the throbber. Well, the looks of it, it is staying on the throbber. So what are you saying, ITM2? Use Odin software. I take it so that will let me flash it or something. Is there an official Samsung reflash tool? It's getting hot all the way down here, all over there. Malware with a hint of Windows 10. Yeah, that's getting warm all over. Download the stock software somewhere on XDA, Flash with Odin. Alright, I'll have to dig into that later. I wouldn't be surprised though if it's some sort of electronics fault. I'll put that aside. Right. We'll call this no account. Create one. I mean, really, why did they do this? Yeah, they go about it making it as deceptive as possible so that you don't end up creating local accounts. Hello, Jabara. Dun, dun, dun. No, back. Skip this step. HP, no password. Well, I do hope this runs reasonably quick on the solid state. My very first solid state drive installation job that I had set the standard for me. It was I think it was a Kingston Extreme, something like that. And it was phenomenally quick. It was only a 250 gig drive. This is a few years ago now. But when I put that in there and booted up after I'd migrated Windows across, it was, I mean, the Windows logo didn't even come close to finishing. It got like 2 or 3 steps and it was already booted into the desktop. And unfortunately, since then, I have not had a machine run that quick, which is kind of strange, but yeah. G900 ITIL, G900, it's the name is, oh right, okay, I'll Google for that and find that one. Be ready for a crap load of updates. Yeah, thank goodness I've got decent broadband now. And interestingly, so I'm 38% CPU, uploading at around about 3 megabit per second. Now, of course, once this is booted, I need to flip it back over, put it all back together, and hope that it keeps running. Because remember, we disassembled this a second time because it wouldn't turn on the first time. My motherboard BIOS takes ages. Actual Windows boot is a fraction of the total time. Though the slowdowns I'm seeing is just from when you see Windows starting to boot and it goes off and does something. I don't know what, but it's doing something. This is even with a fresh Windows installation, so it's not a pre-existing startup sequence going on. Your PC has an update warning. How lovely. I understand that this will start a download of approximately 4 gigabytes. Yeah. So I must have an old version of that stick. I am thinking I'm going to say not now, so that I can shut this down and power off and reassemble. So not now. There we go. Power, shut down. Mike says, I deal with malware 90% of the time, that's why I'm getting set up to do the component level repairs so I don't go crazy. Well, you will go crazy, but it'll just be a different kind of crazy. And that's okay then. You just keep it mixed up, and that keeps you sane. Alright, let's see if we can try this again, and hopefully it will power up. Half tempted to change that CMOS battery, but I'm figuring this machine isn't yet that old for that. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry, hang on there. It won't be a second. Alright, sorry about that. Just one of our cats was not able to be found for a little bit, and my wife was just checking to see if I had any idea where he was. Fortunately, I did, and we were able to find him. So, in spite of the fact that we do keep all our cats enclosed, there's always the perpetual fear that something can happen. Yeah, it's always a worry. Okay, we've got a boot there. Hey, g'day Spencer. Malware removal is just mind-numbing, I do completely agree. I do wish that there was a mass uninstall tool, not so much for the malware, but just the programs that get installed on Windows. I know you can script it from the command line or that, but it would be nice if within the Windows control panel itself, you could tick off which ones you get rid of and just go mass remove. I mean, really, is that too much to ask? Alright, so that's working. Are you working? Yep, okay. Power. Shut down. I can read your lips, Annex Delia. Sorry. Is that because you have partial hearing or no hearing? Subsequently, you've learnt to read lips? Or is it a superpower? Maybe it's both. Windows 10 can restore back to pristine. So, control by wiring CMOS to 3.3 will never show bad battery, will always lose time and settings. I have noticed that in a lot of the cheaper machines that they keep the CMOS running by these batteries now. So, yep. Thank you very much. That did catch me out the first time. I was running around trying to find either a super cap or some tiny little rechargeable battery somewhere. And then it dawned on me they were using the main battery. So what are you up to, Spencer? Why aren't you working? Should be inventing the next greatest thing on the internet. That's what I expect from you. For a moment then I thought I had one screw too many. The dreaded excess screws. Does anyone do anything with 3D printers here? I haven't got one myself, but it's certainly become a commodity item around here. So I just received a catalogue from Officeworks today, which is just a big office chain store, and they had like 3 or 4 different 3D printers you can buy. Oh, that's pretty impressive. Personally, I was always more interested in the laser cutters. Okay, we've got power now. Maybe I just wasn't waiting long enough the last time, but I swear we waited quite a bit. Taking a lazy day today. Oh well. How nice for you. In multi-person repair areas, subtly add random screws to the other person's desk. Oh, that's cruel, Motorman. That's really cruel. I can see the humour in that, though. Yes, alright, we'll do that. So, let's see, this PC is running version 10.586, and we're up to version 14.393. Oh well, I guess we'll go for the update now, and I'm probably going to kill my upload speed, which probably wouldn't be a bad thing given that it's 2:30 in the morning. Use a Roblox for prototyping castings, but I would love a water laser here. Yeah, I still want to get a laser cutter. Yeah, it's like I could have really done one with one about 10 years ago when we were doing all the model aircraft designs. An update has been installed. OneDrive has been updated to the latest version. Well, thank you. Um, this one is going to essentially remain as stock, and I'll leave it up to the end user to install whatever malware they want to. I'm just going to put Windows Defender, enable that for the antivirus. I find quite often that things like Norton, Trend now, AVG, many of those widely known commercial ones are as bad or worse than the malware that they're supposed to be removing. The only one that I've reliably had success with is the ESET Nod 32, but everything else has just become pure junk. Disable fast startups on dual boots. Okay, it sounds like that the Win10 is original July release of Windows 10. Yeah, it did say July 2015, so yeah, quite likely. I'm quite surprised. I'm doing alright with the upload here in spite of a fairly moderate performance here for the download. We're already up to 5% downloaded. Avast still seems semi-decent. I haven't done anything with Avast lately. Malwarebytes, yeah, I mean, I use that as a clean out tool. I generally don't leave it running. I mean, it is useful when it runs all the time, but I tend to use it more as a clean out and then remove it. But I do agree, Malwarebytes is quite useful. I recall the first time I saw Malwarebytes, and I wasn't sure whether it was um, malware or some legitimate thing. Mind you, this was maybe about 6 odd years ago now, 6 or so more, and I hadn't been in the PC repair business for quite a few years at that point. With Avast, I disable all the other stuff it installs. So yeah, that's why I still, with the ESET Nod 32, I just get the antivirus only, nothing else. I find all those internet security and all that sort of stuff, it just bogs the system down, creates more possible issues. Malwarebytes 3X had issues with auto start in real time. Okay. Oh, lifetime licenses would be nice, yes. Alright. I'm starting to fade out. You can hear it in my voice. I'm starting to crack up. I only got about 4.5, 5 hours sleep this morning after I finished up at 4 o'clock the other morning. So I am just going to leave this running. I'm sure by the morning it will have turned itself into maybe a WannaCry. Actually, probably not, but yeah. Yeah. And I think that S5's doomed. I'm not even going to waste any more time on that. Sorry it wasn't overly exciting this evening. Just a case of I made a couple of failed assumptions there. I should have, yeah, I should have known I didn't have that cable in already. I've got a couple of other machines I need to work on, but they're all just boring malware cleanup type stuff, nothing interesting. So, WannaCry desktop wallpaper, that'd be good. Hang on there, I just got a cough. I'll put the mute in action. Alright. Okay, well, thanks everyone for watching, and until next time, you'll have a good day, and hopefully you do manage to get some work done, maybe some repairs, and I'll catch up with you next time. So until then, I'll see you later.